and welcome to part two of episode three of Baton 365's vodcast. Still the show, and in this part, we're just going to look at the Meadow Club's involvement in the EuroCup in December 2024. So I hope you enjoy this piece of the show, and if you've got any comments, please leave them and get in touch also on our Facebook group. Well, let's move on then to EuroCup, Tim, actually, and do you want to just tell us a bit about that amazing ballerdrome that they held that in? Because that would look
Yeah, that was a
fantastic.
fantastic. That was an incredible venue. Yeah, the Bouladrome in Douai, brand new, and he had been open for a year or two. I think they're still putting up some paneling on the sides and bits and bobs. Wasn't quite finished, but yeah, multi-million-pound place. I think they obviously got the piece indoors that they use, and there's outside a piece as well. In total, I think there's 284 pieces, all 16 by 4 meters. It's pretty incredible. And obviously, you got the 8 showpiece right at the front with massive stands, and they bought the Obu lorry in and the TV production truck and everything. It was fantastic. But no, it was really good. It's easy to get to as well. It's only about hour and 20 minute drive from Calais or Dunkirk, so even easier for us really. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's really good. Well, sure.
I'm just wondering whether there's competitions and opportunities for us to go and play in that Bouladrome, because
Yeah,
to me,
we
like you
talked
said,
about that, thought about it. Yeah, I believe they only actually use the indoor piece for international competitions.
right?
I think yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out, won't we, and see if there is anything there on the outside ones that would be pretty special. Yeah.
Yeah,
We
I
should
mean,
have
I
our
think like you said,
regionals there.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, it might be easy to get to, Gareth.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it is accessible, as you say, and I think that if there's an opportunity, it'd be a good thing to do. Um, there is there is a tournament coming up there this year, isn't there? I believe, Tim.
Yeah, they announced while we were there at the start. Actually, the women's World Triples Championships is there in I think it's November this year. So that'd be another good one.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll have some P365 streamers in situ for that one with a bit of luck. So that's good.
What was the facilities like off the terrain, Tim? You know, obviously you got the terrains and the seats and stuff. But I always find
Yeah,
for the
sure.
players, especially if you're almost locked in there and the officials, locked in there for, what can be very long days. What were the sort of like the off-piece facilities like there?
They were good as well. Obviously, then sort of by the showpiece on the end of that, they had like a dining area where if you booked lunches, you could go and sit in there. But 100 seats or whatever in there where people had. They also had an on-site cafe slash restaurant with coffees and a full bar, fully stocked bar there as well. I think up slightly upstairs there they had like a row of offices as well, and I don't know if they do anything official there, but obviously there's space for it as well. And outside the front, there's loads of car parking. It was quite like a brand new development, the whole area. So it was really spacious and easy to get to. Like I say, access was fine, the roads were good,
Sounds
that sort of
fantastic.
thing. Yeah, the whole place was great.
Like a dream, really, for us, isn't it?
Yeah.
But God knows how
Yeah,
much they spent on it. It must have been multi-million pound
yeah.
development. Did they give you an indication of how they'd funded that? Presumably it was a government thing, was it, or was it a regional government?
We
Do
have
you
no
know?
idea. No, I didn't
It's
chat to
in,
anyone about that.
it's interesting. I mean, I very often, I don't know what it's like in other areas of France, but very often it's kind of like locally, regionally, and then they do tap into kind of national pots of money as well. I know in the Vendée where my sister lives, they focus on what they feel the need is of the area, and so they build amenities to meet and cater for the need of the area, rather.
Mm.
Occasionally they'll have somebody come in who's has a has a like of a certain sport, so more money might be funded into that. But yeah, I would imagine it's that local need, really. But yeah, crikey, the it looked amazing. It looked amazing.
Tim, can you just remind us who was about the Meadow team actually? Who
Yeah,
was
so
there?
we
And yeah,
had the Meadow team that qualified. Just the usual lot: Roland, Dean, I, Jason, Alex, Becky, Federico, and Mark went as the manager. Sorry if I've missed anyone off there.
Was Hoff there?
Oh yeah, Plumhoff, yeah.
Oh wow!
Oh,
Can't
we're in
wait
trouble
for the
there.
reaction to that. Cannot wait for that.
Yeah, no, they did really well. They had a toughish group. When it's probably what you're always going to get at the EuroCup. You're going to get a team that's sort of like Jamie said earlier, really, with the sort of, you rank the nation, you're going to get one that's probably above you and a couple that are around you. And they had a good first game against Bulgaria, beating them 26-5. That was a good start to the day. Then the tough match against Luxembourg came, and it doesn't look good on paper that they lost 29-2. I think Rowley won his singles, so I think that was it. But
Tim, can you
they were actually good.
Just for the people that don't understand the scoring in the Euro Cup, can you just quickly, you say 26-5 or whatever?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. So you get so the Euro Cup, certainly the finals abroad, and our final here is played. Obviously, teams of 6 or a squad of 8. You play 6 singles, 3 doubles, and 2 triples. So the singles matches are worth 2 points each, 2 match points that count for the whole thing. The doubles are worth 3 points each, I believe, and the triples are worth 5 points each. So I think there are 31 points on total on offer. So basically, whoever gets to 16 first will win the tie. So it's, in theory, some of them can be over before the triples are even played. So I say, 26-5 win against Bulgaria, which was good. Yeah, then the tough game against Luxembourg, really won singles, but they actually played. The standard was really good. I remember I streamed the mixed triple. I think it was Becky, Dave, and Rowley. And I went back and did the stats, and we played really high, but Luxembourg were around 90% effectiveness.
It was
we just, we didn't play badly, but we couldn't even keep up with them. I think they got fannied or lost to 1 or something. That was just the level. But it was a shame overall, because I think this goes back to what we were just saying. Like, if you were in France for a year or something, playing at that level more often, I think our guys can do it. The Meadow team, the Bulldog team, people like that. If you put them in that environment for a year or so, then they get used to playing at that high level. They've all got it in them to do that. It's just when we're going over there for a Worlds or a EuroCup once or twice a year, you get that high standard game. You're not quite used to it, or a different mindset perhaps. It's just sort of throws you a bit. But yeah, so they had a good tournament. And then we knew obviously the last game against Czech Republic, funny enough, would be the crunch match, because I think they'd beaten Bulgaria as well. So we knew whoever won that would go through. And the guys played really well again, won 27-4 overall. Fairly convincing performance. I think that may have actually been over before the triples, that one. So that was good.
Yeah.
And obviously that put them runners up in the group. Now you can see there on the screen. Yeah, so that was good. Positive points difference as well. Went through. So that obviously did mean that we were in the sort of, not the group winners, not pot, if you like. It was kind of a pre-drawn, but you obviously know you're going to play one of the harder teams after that. And we got drawn against Italy, on the next day, and that was actually again a really good game. I remember Jason played his single against Capello, who's just won the World Triples Championships, and Jason lost to 10. That was again a close game, a bit of a slow start from Jay, probably cost him. Yeah, but that was 10-all on the last end. Capello just carried 3 balls. It was just one of them. But again, they showed great determination. Jay and Rowley won their double to keep the match going. Bex and Dave won their mixed doubles easily, and I think they fannied the other team in 4 ends or 3 ends. It was they were both phenomenal. And then Rowley and Jay knew they had to win to keep it alive going into the triples. It was like 11-all or something, and Jay and Rowley's come up with a couple of carrows and got us over the line. So that was all great. They're all buzzing for that then, and then you go straight into the triples, and it just didn't quite go their way. I think it's a couple of loose balls, and at that level you get punished. The Italians put together. I think Italy just needed to win 1 triple, so they put together a pretty formidable triple. I think it was almost the team who won the PPF.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So, and I've streamed that match. They were superb. They were just on those tricky piece, pointing 2 inches away and not missing much at all. So that one just got away from us. But again, like we say, you look at it on paper, they've probably beaten who you think they'd beat, and probably lost to who you think they'd lose to, looking at where teams are ranked and how you think they play. But overall, it was a great tournament. And then personally, I really liked the EuroCup with that team vibe as well, and
Yeah,
being there, streaming, and
yeah,
being around the
absolutely.
squad and everything. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Well, I mean, I think we should say congratulations to Meadow because, from what I saw, they were extremely competitive and, were taking on some of the best players in the world, actually, and not looking out of place at all, I thought. So, be interesting to see what happens in this year's Euro Cup. Is it underway yet, Gareth? I think it is, isn't
I
it?
believe so. I believe the first round started tail end of last year.
Yes, they did.
Yeah. So I've seen a few results come through, but obviously the higher ranked teams only come into in the latter stages. So, but yeah, I think it's a cracking competition. I remember organising it donkeys years ago before email, so it was posting results to me else all the time and stuff like that. I think it's a great competition, and look forward to it. Umpires clicking sort of semi-final, so I dare say I'll be there. So yeah, it's good competition, and well done to Tim for some great streaming. It was really good streaming.
Oh yeah, brilliant.
Absolutely,
venue.
absolutely.
It was. I like the way and it's something I know both of you do when you do two main streamers, but you're watching whatever game it was, but you're keeping us abreast of, especially at the Euro Cup when there's six singles going on. Timmy did a really good job of sort of keeping us up to date with the others as well, which I know is not easy to do. So well done.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's full on days.
I think what's really good as well is that that England, whoever has been to represent us over the last 4 to 5 years, I think we've got to a point now where we are getting through to that last 16 consistently, and it's waiting for one of the teams, because I think we are capable. I think as a nation, I think there are 2 or 3 clubs that are very much capable of getting to that 16 and then with a bit of a nicer draw, getting into that top 8. I think it is possible. And as you say, I mean, there's loads of different reasons why I'm not quite making that. And I think Tim was right saying, we're not consistently playing those levels of matches and against teams. And I think realistically, the thing, I think we've talked about this at Baldock, and I'm sure, at Meadow they've done it. And I know they've done it because they've travelled to Sweden, they've gone to Denmark to play in competitions, gone to Hedebo. And, it's about putting yourself into those situations and being able to play those matches. But the massive part of that is cost, and it's, and it's the time, and you've been able to travel and go to do those things. But yeah, I think Meadow did brilliantly. Again, I mean, I kind of behind the scenes kind of said to all of them, I really think you're going to do well. I really think you're going to get to that point. But then, again, a lot of people would say, well, that's Mr. Positivity. I'm always like that with things. I really do think whenever we send a team anywhere, I think, well, yeah, no, we can do this. So yeah, and I think they were. I mean, being drawn against Italy in the top 16 is like it's like one of those. Because they are brilliant. They are very, very good. Which has panned out this year to show how they are the world champions now, aren't they? All representatives are. So yeah.
Well, what I like about it is, we raised our game to compete with the very best. That's the critical thing. I always look for that in international competitions. Do we look out of place or not? Do we look like we're in this? Do we look like we could do something competitive? And I think that was very much shown by the Meadow in that tournament. So,
yeah, definitely. So
well
didn't look out of place at all, did they?
No.
Which is the good thing, I think. Yeah, congratulations to them. They did really well.
And I genuinely do think, and I'm not just saying this, but I genuinely do think other countries look at us and think that that's the level that we should be getting to each time. I think it's not just us thinking it. I think other countries are looking at our representatives who go to the EuroCup thinking, oh, they're a good team. They're whoever comes across will, those. And I think that's another reason why potentially, when Luxembourg played against, the Meadow, and they played against us, because they will have looked us up, that Meadow in that group is saying, this is the team we need to beat. They won't have been looking, without no disrespect to the Czech Republic, they won't have been looking at the Czech Republic in that group and gone, oh, they'll have looked at the English team, they'll have looked at Meadow and gone, right, we're going to beat Bulgaria, we're going to beat Czech Republic. The English team are the team that we need to really make sure that we beat. And I think that's why the levels of play with Luxembourg were even higher, because they looked at the Meadow as being, they're the ones we've got to beat to make sure we finish first.
I mean, let's just finish on something which I know has often been debated in England about EuroCup, and it's this question of players joining clubs to make, the best teams possible, the most competitive teams possible. I know there's some
super clubs.
Yeah, there is that way of calling it. I try to keep away from that, but I mean, the thing is, if we're going to really compete and if we're going to achieve the sort of levels that Meadow have achieved, I think that there is always going to have to be a tendency of the best players joining these clubs. I mean, I just feel that that's what should happen, and I actually also think that rather than that being a negative thing, it's a very positive thing for the country because it shows us on a very high level what we can do in our country in sport. I mean, I don't know what others think about that. I mean, Gareth, what's your take on that?
I don't have an issue with it. I think it's a positive thing. And those that do have a negative or view on it, I'd ask why and how. Why have you got a negative view on that, and how would you police that? I don't even think it's an argument, to be honest. People have an opinion on it, and as far as I'm concerned, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I've got, it's not, case A, Jamie. Jamie doesn't live in Chiltern, and
what? Leicester's not part of Chiltern.
But it's not like he's not just doing the EuroCup, he's doing the interregionals. He comes down and does a lot of our regional competitions. As far as I'm concerned, Jamie's a Chiltern player. I know Kent have got the Meadow have got a couple of players, like half and stuff like that. I just don't see. Yeah, I don't see. I don't see the issue with it. They're nice people. EuroCup final, Ken invited me out for dinner, and first time really chatting to Federico, lovely bloke. I don't see the issue with it. It's no different for me than, football teams wanting the better players. If you're enhancing the sport, you're enhancing that team, so therefore you're enhancing the sport. You're then going away. We're being competitive is what we've talked about basically this whole podcast. If people have got an issue with it, get better. I'm sorry. This is easy.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I did actually argue when I was on the Petanque England board a while back was I think a lot of the issue around this is to do with regional representation, particularly in the context of the interregionals. And obviously, if you go off and join another club, you obviously represent the region in which that club is. I made an argument that should be detached, actually, and that people should be allowed to play in whatever region they like, particularly if they live in that region, and not be prevented from playing in a club of their choice in the EuroCup. It's a slightly controversial view, but I actually think that would probably deal with some of the more sort of issues around dissatisfaction with this sort of thing, because it means that the region is still benefiting from that player in terms of the interregional championships.
I understand that, but then again, let's use Jamie as our example here. Jamie's a passionate Chiltern player. And I've seen him, representing and stuff like that. So this whole sort of like just because he doesn't live in the region, that means he's not really a proper Chiltern player. I just think it's null and void. I don't even think it's an argument that needs, or probably discussion, as he keeps on about it, that needs to be had. I just think I can't see a single argument for having to play where you live.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really liking. Not that I played for Chiltern now for over, crikey, since 2010, I think. So I've played for Chiltern for a number of years now. I mean, at first, admittedly, I didn't play the regionals as much, but then I did, and that was part mainly because some of my best friends are in Petanque come from the Chiltern region, effectively. So yeah, and I think what Martin said there about I think there could be a change in the rules, and I think that if you said that, you know, the club that you play for in the Euro Cup doesn't necessarily tie you to the region. I think that would give people the opportunity to play locally, more locally, and play for their region that they're in. And I think I don't think it's that controversial, to be honest, Martin. I think it's probably common sense. But then many would argue, well, yes, of course you would think that because you're one of the people who does it.
I think someone said to me a while ago, and I thought it was quite an interesting concept, was that if you change region, you can't change region for like another 5 years or something. So it gives you time to bed into that region. We all know those players that sort of like, you know, I'm sure we're all thinking exactly the same player, you know, region to region to region to region every year. I don't think that's good for the game. I don't think it's good for the regions. I don't think it's good for the Euro Cup.
I mean, I was thinking of Ben Trend there, but I don't know.
Well, yeah, there's been a few, hasn't there? But,
he's collecting the badges, I think.
But I
Benjamin.
think maybe there should be, you know, a minimum, you know, say 5 years. I don't know what it should be. So give you time to bed into that region, and it makes you think about: is this really the region I want to play in? Is this really the Euro Cup team I want to play in? Because if you go there and it goes south, you're stuck there for another 4 years. You can move. You can move clubs in that region. You can't move region for 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not personally an advocate of the argument that says you have to play in the region in which you live in, because, you know, my suggestion means that players could still choose to play in whatever region they liked, regardless.
And for me, the other thing that you have to take into consideration is, you know, people's life, what's happening in their lives. You know, people might move because of their jobs, or they might, you know, without going too deep, you know, things might happen in their personal lives that might change their situations. We are still, I mean, we are still an amateur sport, and we have to take that into. I think sometimes we forget that. We do forget that, and that we are an amateur sport, and basically everybody who plays in this sport is giving up a huge amount of their time and a huge amount of their money, and you know, to actually follow and to take part. You know, I mean, there's lots of, I get started in all sorts of bits and pieces, but you know, we have to take that into account, I think, and we are an amateur sport. We are, and
yeah. Okay, well, that's, I think, done EuroCup quite comprehensively.